Hello, welcome back to the Friends of Zeus podcast. This is episode 128. You can find us everywhere. Just look for us. We actually come up pretty quick if you type in the podcast name on Google, the Google. Tonight's episode is going to be fun. Tonight's is Jack's episode. We're going to do our 10 favorite albums of all times. And Jack, I'm going to hand the reins over to you.
Okay, cool, man. Thanks, Zeus. So this was an idea that we had floating around for quite a while now. I think we talked about doing something like this or favorite bands when we were camping last July. That was a year ago. And I know that we have a previous episode where we discussed our favorite movie soundtracks. But this just seems so obvious, and it seems strange to me that we hadn't done it in over 2 years of doing the podcast. Because, there are some weeks where there's not a big news story. There are some weeks where we just are tired of talking about the party, the investigation, the lousy media that
Yeah.
works for the party, the tech companies. So I figured, let's keep it light this week. All the players are still going to be around next week, and there's going to be news, and we'll get to that. So, yeah, what I figured is we talk about our favorite albums. Now, when we were texting about this, there weren't really many harsh rules or strict rules. Like I had said, if you try to keep if you have a specific band, try not to have more than, like, say, two albums by that same band. Now, I actually had a difficult time because I wanted to have it just be one album by any band, and I was able to do that. So I was kind of happy with that.
It was tough. It was tough.
But it was no, this whole thing, I was trying to think of like my own criteria. And so what I used, I just said, because guys, just so the audience knows, other than Desiree, the rest of us are like 50.
Yeah.
Okay. We're all about 50. We've been listening to
Desiree is
music.
21.
Yeah, right. Desiree's 21.
Mhm.
So we've all been listening to music for a long time, and I know that I binge listen. So there are albums in my past that I used to listen to every day, maybe for 10 months. And and I a lot of those albums were popping up through my mind, and I was looking at the track listings for some of them, and I'm like,
I know.
do I still love it now? Is it so? What I did was I said cover to cover, it has to hold up for me. I still have to get great joy listening to it, not just nostalgia, not just a place in time. I have to have listened to it endlessly, and I still would today, and I would recommend it. And then finally, again, these are our favorites, not the best. So if you wanted to look up, like, Rolling Stone's list of the best 100 albums, like, I glanced at that just to see what the critics think, and I don't think I had maybe more than one album on, like, Rolling Stone's top
That's
50.
because they're
Really?
shysters, man. They're
Yeah, I mean, so different strokes for different folks, you know what I mean? Like, we're not here to judge, we're not here to laugh. If
Yeah.
Zeus has Nickelback, so be it.
Awesome.
That's a wise man.
It is what it is.
Never made it as
All
a
right,
romance
and
man.
also I didn't rank any albums. I just kind of came up, it painstakingly decided that these are 10. I reserve my right to change my mind after this podcast at any point. But this is what I came up with today, which is
For now.
July 25th, 2023. All right, so should I just start with my first one and then we'll go?
I think
Well-
so, but I have to say something, Jack.
Go
That
ahead,
was
Mike.
an amazing intro. Like, that's exactly. I'm just saying that's perfect. You set the
Except-
tone. You set the table.
I would like to.
I love it.
I would like to give mine first because mine are actually ranked. Just
you want
to give a little
so
pressure on you guys.
wait, so you want to blow your load and tell us all 10 in their rankings, like, right now?
No need to worry about blowing my load. That's
No,
not
yay, yay.
no, I've been excited. I like did my list and I feel really good about my list. Like it's a solid list. I think that I think short of Desiree, that you guys are going to be like, yeah, dead on, dead on, dead on, dead on. So I just,
Okay.
yeah, I want to blow my load. Sure.
Well,
Wow. Okay. Well, I figured we would rotate. I don't know about everybody else, what your thoughts are, but I thought we would all just kind of, how about we do this? Everybody start with give me give me three of them,
wow.
Okay.
and we'll let you have the floor. Or do you want to just do one, 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 Mike?
I
Let's
think
get this.
I think 1-1-1, and you can do it ranked or not ranked, but we'll take
Yeah.
Maybe we can
turns.
discuss them afterwards.
So we have 50 albums to talk about, but there's probably going to be some overlap.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely going to be some overlap.
Okay. All right. Well, Zeus, why don't you go give us one, whether you ranked it or not.
Well, my first one, and this one was a tough one because it's one of the ones where I wanted to do two albums from the band. But
Yeah.
my first album has got to be Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Boom.
That's my number one. Solid.
That's your number one.
Well, I mean,
So you're starting with number one.
Dark Side of the Moon is like it was tough, a tough call, but man, Pink Floyd, The Wall, man, like I grew up with it. Like I saw the video when I learned about them, how cool they were, and like the video, the movie
The
is
movie.
so amazing, and it really lends to the album. So yeah, that one, Dark Side of the Moon, of course, is not, and it's another one where you can listen to every single song on the album and fucking know it. But Pink Floyd is like next level. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
so all right, so for the record, Zeus, I'm gonna I'm gonna go next just so that we can knock that album out of the way because I didn't rank these at all, but Pink Floyd The Wall for me is up there in my top 10 favorites for the same reason Zeus is talking about. I remember being down the shore, my older cousin had the 45 for Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. That's like a three-part
Damn,
song.
it's a good
And
album.
and it was, we don't need no education, we don't need no thought control. And this was 1979. So I'm like 8, 9 years old. I'm in school. I hate school. I'm like, oh, this is so great. And then I remember, maybe Zeus, you were the same way. I saw the movie before I had the record.
I didn't even see it till I was like 14 or 15. That's
I
when I got.
remember seeing it. I think it might have been HBO or something, but I saw it when they made it. So the album had already been out. And
Yeah.
then I remember having the vinyl album shortly thereafter. So I'm still a young kid. And I remember the movie had a real impression on me. I almost think of it like a loss of innocence in a way because
Oh,
it
absolutely.
was so fucking deep and so disturbing. And I remembered,
Man.
like, I was like, this is a rock band, this is an album. And I got the album and I checked it out. And the fact that it's a double album and it's a concept album, it's a story. Like that blew my friggin' mind. And now at my age, I'm a huge Floyd fan still. I know you are, Zeus.
Oh, fuck
A-
yeah.
And the one thing I'll say about Pink Floyd The Wall that's different from the rest of these albums on my list, because they all kind of bring me a little joy. Pink Floyd The
Yep.
Wall is like listening to an opera or classical, like it's really dark, it's really amazing music, but it's not like you want to play it at a party.
No,
Yeah.
and for us, like I think probably Mike and Tom, probably, if it's not on their list, they can get this. It's like a milestone in our lives. Like if you're gonna
For
be
me, yeah.
into like music, like if you are a music fan, Pink Floyd The Wall has to be there somewhere in your like thought process as
If you've heard it.
a great yeah, if you've heard it, as a good album. Whether you follow down that path, you can still respect it. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
just an amazing album, and the darkness that was behind it, and then like as an adult, like the whole movie looks like it's like pro Nazi. Like at the time, it looked like it was this pro like dark things in humanity, but it was really the antithesis of everything that was depicted in the movie. It was a spectacular movie,
Mhm.
and the album was.
I've never seen the movie. I don't know about the rest of
Never
you guys.
not want to listen to Pink
I've
Floyd.
never even. I didn't know there was a movie. So
Yeah,
It's-
no, they made a film of it obviously after the album came out, and it's it's a very dark,
Spectacular.
yeah, and it's a dark film. It's a dark album.
May I go
Yeah,
so far as to say it's epic?
Zeus, I would say, and Zeus, I also had the same thing because there's so many other. There's at least 2 Pink Floyd albums that I could have put on this favorite 10 albums.
Division Bell.
And because I had to pick one in my mind, and to me, The Wall was the most important album in my life, and I think it's the best album of their albums. So I went with The Wall.
I mean, Division Bell was great.
well,
Momentary Lapse of Reason was
yeah,
great.
but wait, we gotta keep going,
Yeah,
man.
let's
There's
move
50
on.
albums. All right, what about you? What about you, Mike?
So this is nowhere near The Wall. But I did rank mine, and like you were saying, Jack, my criteria personally was they had to be albums that when they came out, I listened to them incessantly.
Yeah.
And they also have to be ones that I've listened to within the last year would regularly put on and listen again, and not, like you said, the reason I loved what you said at the beginning, not from like nostalgia. And some of my honorable mentions are nostalgia, but the ones on my list are like they just get me. Like, they're just like awesome albums. So the first one, my number 10, it's the weakest one on my list, but I have
Pink Floyd The Wall was my number 1.
Oh, I'm going backwards.
That's okay. It's
Did
okay
you-
because
did-
I didn't. Yeah, no, Desiree and I didn't rank ours at all. We just have 10, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Mike and
matter.
Tom, did you guys have Pink Floyd The Wall on your list?
I did not.
No.
Okay.
Wow.
Although
I
I
just
love
wondered.
the album. Yeah, that's a whole other. My number 10, and again, don't laugh because it's against Full Moon Fever or against The Wall. It's anyway. Full
Just
Moon
say
Fever.
it in sync.
Full Moon Fever by Tom Petty. Released
good,
in '89.
good record.
Nice.
So just a fun record. He was
Mhm.
with the Heartbreakers. It was his first. I think it was his first solo, maybe his second solo. But again, it lived in my car's tape deck.
Mhm.
It's not like profound, like The Wall is, or some other albums
is that the one with Running
you,
Down the
it's-
Dream?
yeah. And
Okay.
Free Fallin'.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just
That was
Just
when?
bad.
89?
89. Yeah, it came
That
out in
early?
89.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just a fun album. And it's like one of those, to me, it ages well. Like you can throw it
It's
on
over 30 years ago. Jesus
and it
Christ.
still sounds fresh. And the other thing is,
I think Last Dance with Mary Jane was on that album too.
it was the one
No.
after. Although
That
they
was
did
after.
record that during these sessions, or he
Okay.
wrote it during these sessions.
Yeah,
the-
dude.
The other thing is, it was like during the time when he was doing the first Traveling Wilburys album,
Yeah.
which I really like the Traveling Wilburys.
Yeah, me too.
So on Full Moon Fever, you've got Jeff Lynne on there. I think George Harrison appears. So all the people from the Wilburys, I think, except for Dylan. appear
And
on
Orbison.
Full Moon Fever. I think Orbison is on. I'm not sure. Anyway, my point is, it's just a fun album. Like you could play it for
Yeah.
everybody. There's nothing R-rated about it. It's not
And-
heavy. You
And
can
Yeah.
this is the first one where I'm like, God damn, why didn't I put Tom Petty on this list?
Yeah,
So
no,
anyway.
he's not on mine either. Hey, Mike, just
Yeah.
just to prove a point of the quality of that album, I can tell you, like Zeus immediately went to Running Down a Dream. I remember You're So Bad. For some
Yeah.
reason, that song stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And I in 1989, I'm a full-fledged metalhead punk rock fan. Most of that's what I listen to. A lot of my list is going to be dominated by that. Not for nostalgia, but because I still listen to that shit.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think I had Full Moon Fever on cassette, despite the fact that that wasn't really my main genre of music. I'd heard enough songs on that album that I was like, I want this album. Like we all know who Tom Petty is by 1989 because we grew up with MTV.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So
absolutely.
it wasn't like
He was one of the forefathers.
who's this guy? Like of course, and so I picked up the record and I remember listening to that in my car too a lot. It's
Yeah.
a great record. I think that's a good call.
Yeah, it's a great one. Like I said, I mean, just for Stop Dragging My Heart Around. Like fucking
That's-
Petty was fucking epic.
No, Petty's a huge artist.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a shame he that we lost him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Desiree or
Desiree?
Tom, who's up next?
I think Desiree.
No,
Desiree.
Tom can go first.
Oh, okay.
No, I did a kind of, I have my own criteria as well. So
What do you
there's
got?
so many albums, like you said. So I went back to my actual stash of vinyl albums,
Oh, you still
and I
have
just
yours.
looked at those only, and I picked out 10 of those.
Okay.
Now, if we did cassettes, there'd be some other ones. If we did CDs, there'd be some other ones.
You got any 8 tracks?
I don't think I have an actual 8-track. I might have one somewhere. And then, we could do a show on what's on our iPods. So first,
Well, wait a
I got-
minute.
iPods.
That's a good point, Tom. I meant to say that in the intro. One of the reasons that I thought this idea would be really interesting and challenging is that in the year 2023, we don't listen to music the same way we did when we were younger. I mean, like,
Mhm.
I know with Spotify, I'll just put on I'll have a band in mind and they have a radio, like Ramones radio, and I'll just throw that on and it's random. Like you might hear anything, and it's cool because it passes the time and you're listening to good songs that are kind of like the artists you like. You may hear an artist you never heard of, and it's great. And so I like it. But like back in our day, young fans of the Friends of Zeus podcast, we went to the record store and we bought albums based on the singles we heard or the artists that we already liked. And we brought them home and we listened to them cover to cover, like reading a book. And
Mhm.
it was fun. And that's why I thought this would be fun to do. But go ahead, Tom, what do you got?
And a lot of them back then, they were concept albums because they had
Yeah.
to release the whole thing all at once. It wasn't
That's
just
right.
like a single that went out and then like a year later, another single goes out. So first up is this one. Oh shit. I gotta turn this
Oh,
on.
1984, baby.
I gotta turn this thing on. I thought that it was gonna work, but it's not gonna work.
Oh, Tom's got it set up. Do it.
Let me get my background off. There we go.
1984, man. So is that is that original like first pressing or did you get that later?
I don't know.
Just
How would I know
curious.
if it's a first press?
Well, I mean, did you get it
In
contemporaneously?
1984.
It says 1984 on it.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
name of the album.
Wait, I guess what he's asking you is that vinyl from when you were a kid.
Yeah, have you
Yeah.
had
These are my actual records.
wow. All
Oh,
right.
that's so great.
So that's the
Yeah,
iconic cover, first
It's
of
a
all.
crazily awesome album. I mean, it's just an
And then the
amazing
back.
album.
You've got all of them.
Van Halen is one of those bands that I don't know, man. I loved them when I was a kid. And then when I got older, people were like, man, Van Halen's cheesy. I was like, man, I still like Van Halen.
Well, on this one,
And now I listen to them, they're like freaking amazing.
where's their list of songs? I thought it was on there, but it's not on there. So this one has like
Oh, Hot for
obviously
Teacher,
Jump,
right? Hot for Teacher,
Panama, yeah, Hot
Panama,
for Teacher,
Jump.
yeah, Jump's on there. A lot of good songs on this one.
That's a
Dude,
good
Hot for
call,
Teacher.
Tom.
The intro for Hot for Teacher, when Alex
I
Van
don't
Halen
feel
is hitting
tardy.
the drums, and it's
Almost
like
like
the
a jungle beat.
yeah, but it's like the car idling, like the V8 idling drum beat intro. I mean, that's amazing.
For me, the line "I don't feel tardy."
Right.
Yeah, that can be taken a few ways. Yeah. That's a
Oh,
good
yeah.
pick.
That's
That's
a
a
great
good
call,
pick.
Tom.
That's my number one.
Desiree.
Okay, so this was a bit difficult for me because I've only maybe owned less than 20 actual albums in my life because when I started actually listening to music like regularly, there
Single.
was we could burn shit off the internet. So
Mhm.
a lot of like you didn't really go out and the new jam just came out. You didn't really just go out and buy the whole album just because you liked that single and then like you liked the whole album. So it's just a little bit different for me. And then I so going through it, I was like, okay, well, what did I actually own in my life? So I tried to keep it to like stuff that I actually owned, and then there's like a couple on here that I didn't actually own. Like this first one, Michael Jackson Bad.
Yeah,
Okay. I didn't actually own this.
it's a great album.
But I know it is, and the reason I like this one so much is because it has Dirty Diana on it. Like,
Yeah.
come on, that's the jam.
It's a fantastic
Love that.
song.
Great album.
And I know that Thriller was it's like the better one, like sales wise, it's like the best album of all time seller or whatever.
What was that, Off the Wall?
I mean,
No,
no,
Thriller.
Thriller.
No, Thriller.
Thriller. Okay.
But
That
this was
one
like
Beat It and
Yeah,
Beat
let
It
her
was on
finish.
Thriller.
Yeah.
Let her.
Well, so-
yeah.
this one had what? This one had like Dirty Diana on it. Bad, obviously. Man in the Mirror had a lot of other songs
That's
on there.
great song. Man in the Mirror is a great song.
But I didn't actually own this. The one that I owned that was his was the greatest hits because I wasn't even born yet when this album came out.
Right, that's fair
When-
enough.
when did it come out?
Whole
Do you-
album of great songs.
1987.
So it was his follow up to Thriller, right? There
Mhm.
wasn't.
Thriller, yeah.
And so if you're not coming after Thriller, I mean that album was solid. I mean,
Thriller?
I think Bad. I'm just saying
I was about to say the thing with Thriller is there was like Thriller was the hit and then like
it was a phenomenal.
beat it. Like that was it.
No,
But I'm just
no,
saying, if Bad didn't
No,
have to live
Billie
in the
Jean.
shadow,
Yeah,
Billie
Billie
Jean
Jean,
was
I
on-
think.
Oh,
I'm just
no,
saying,
Thriller.
if
Yeah.
Bad didn't have to live in the shadow of Thriller, I think it would
Yes.
be more respected. But I think it's a
it was
solid
well
album.
respected,
Wait a
regardless.
minute.
It had
Did
it had
did-
Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror,
The Way
Dirty
You Make Me
Diana,
Feel?
Smooth Criminal.
Smooth Criminal. Smooth
Smooth
Criminal is a
Criminal,
great
man.
song.
What else? What
It's a
else,
great song.
Desiree? What else?
It said on like on this list, like the top 9 songs from the album was I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror, Dirty Diana, Another Part of Me, Smooth Criminal, Leave Me Alone, and Libertarian Girl. I don't know what I've never even heard that
Leave
song.
Me Alone's a good song too. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a,
it actually good call, Desiree. That actually
Yeah.
it's
Actually-
arguable. It's better than Thriller, or at least
I
as
would.
good.
Yeah, I
so.
was gonna say it's probably it's got more fucking songs
It-
that I
that's
remembered
more-
immediately than
It has more bops on it than Thriller did. I mean, Thriller is pretty iconic song, but
It's epic. It changed. I mean, it's what got him to be like one of the four.
Thriller is what made him the king of pop.
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
then,
but he
you know.
he could have failed 10 different ways on the follow up to Thriller. I mean, that's
Mm.
all. How do you how do you follow up that album? And I think he knocked it out of the park.
Shit that he did before that, like Ben, I'll Be There.
Yeah, this
fucking-
is not Jackson 5 years.
yeah,
No.
no. But I'm
And the
saying
thing about Michael is like he was like the Jackson 5, and then I don't know what happened to him. Then he was his own, and then he
blew
fucking
the
got
fuck
weird.
up. That's what happened.
And then he built Neverland. So
I'm just glad MJ's on our podcast because I didn't
Yeah,
have him
that's
on
a
mine,
good
and,
call.
and I think he
Well, I mean,
definitely-
I'm
All
torn.
right. Well,
Deserves
wait a
it.
minute. Wait a minute, guys. I'm gonna try to keep track of the clock here, because
okay.
otherwise we're just gonna go off the rails. So
Rolling.
Zeus. What I suggest here is you knock out. You give us 2 albums off your list now.
Nice.
Just go-
All right. My next 2 are, and Jack, you may or may not like this. My next 2 are, my number 2 is Temple of the Dog. Fucking amazing
Wow.
album. Fucking such a great album.
Okay.
And then the next one is Pearl Jam, but it's probably not the one you think. For me, the one that I just could listen to over and over is Versus.
Versus.
Yeah,
I knew you were gonna go with
Versus.
Versus. I knew you
Now,
were gonna
that's
go
not
with
to
Versus.
take away from 10. 10 is what made them explode, but Versus
Mhm.
is the one I listen to over and over.
Is that the one with the sheep on the cover?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, those 2. Temple of the Dog is such an amazing album.
That's
Anybody-
a good call.
It's really great.
That's
and it's cool because it's like a mixture of artists that you are listening to. You had like Stone Goddard, Eddie Vedder, Chris Cornell.
Mhm.
Fucking, it was just this compilation of these amazing artists, and everybody. Maybe I don't know, Desiree, if you've ever heard Hunger Strike, but that song alone was a great song, but so many more songs on that album. I can listen to it over and
Well, to
over.
have Cornell and Vedder duet.
Mhm.
I
Well,
mean,
most of that album's Cornell on vocals, I think, if I
It
remember
is.
right.
Except
but
for Hunger.
Eddie does some.
Eddie does
backups
Hunger
on it.
Strike.
Yeah.
know,
But like you
definitely
got
does hunger strike. I know
that
that.
all night thing. You got
Pushing.
reach down, pushing. There's some really good
And the
songs.
other thing is that was a tribute album, right, to the original
Yeah.
Guy
singer
from Mother Love Bone.
of Mother
Yeah.
Love Bone, and so it was so not commercial, which was such the ethos of the time, like the whole Seattle scene. It was
Mhm.
just an album that was put out from love of
And
music.
Yeah.
and it
You know,
didn't,
there
it
was
didn't really gain its popularity until like the grunge
so
movement
later, yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of
Wasn't Say Hello to Heaven on that
Say
album?
Hello to Heaven is on that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's a
So
good
many
record.
great hits on that.
That's a good call.
Great
Yeah,
album.
no, I was actually tempted by Versus because it's probably my favorite Pearl Jam album
Absolutely, yeah.
as well. It's either Versus or Yield or 10. So I mean, there's 3 albums by them that I think are exceptional.
How that album starts with "Oh, please don't go out on me, don't go on me now."
Yeah, no, right. That's
It's
right.
fucking it's
But yeah,
rushes.
no, that's it. Those are good calls. Those are good calls. Let me see here. I'm gonna go with for 2 of them. I'm gonna get one obvious chalk pick off the board, and I'll throw out one that's pretty personal. So I'm gonna go with for the one that's on so many people's, and I felt weird putting it on my top 10 favorite albums, but I listened to it again today. Damn it, I've been listening to like singles off of it because they pop up on some like random shuffles or playlists. Like no one's forgotten about this band. There is a reason. This album is a fucking perfect record, and I still love it. And it's got to be Nirvana's Nevermind.
Yeah.
It just is. It's basically some of it sounds like they called it alternative. Most of it is basically punk. It was alternative, but a lot of it is punk, which I love. And then the stuff that isn't, that's more melodic, is just amazing. And the reason I say most of it's punk, when you listen to Kurt Cobain quote unquote guitar solo, it's really not. It's really just a lot of distortion. And I don't think I listened to it again today just to make sure I wanted it in my favorites. And it really holds up. Like I
Yeah.
mean honestly, like a lot of the songs are on repeat. I hear them a lot, like Lithium, Come As You Are, obviously Smells Like Teen Spirit. But
What's the one from the
but
Batman?
I listened to the rest of it and I'm like, this has got to be one of my, because I used to listen to it all the time and I still loved it. Like
Yeah.
today, I was
Yeah.
like it was the 90s.
It
again.
holds
song
up.
from the Batman movie. Because that was on that album too, wasn't it?
I don't think
so.
Nirvana did a Batman
I don't think
song.
Nirvana did a Batman.
No, on the recent Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. Nothing.
Oh, Something in the
Something
Way.
in the way.
Something in the Way.
That's the last track.
That's the last track.
That album, like I kept having favorite songs off of that album for like 10 years. Like
Yeah.
looking back, I think my favorite song is Drain You.
Yeah.
That has just got, it is so it's just such a fantastic song.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you picked that because like I didn't, because I don't know why, but it is an
Because
amazing album.
It's such a hyped album, and
it's so hyped.
It changed music. It destroyed the hair bands. You know what I mean? As far as pop music
Literally.
goes, it ushered in Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Smashing Pumpkins. Like all of a sudden, Soundgarden. All of a sudden, that music got very hip. Alice in Chains. Like it opened the door for everybody. Because when everybody heard and saw the video for Smells Like Teen Spirit, boom, that was it. You know, I mean, and again, that's a very metal song. It's not like he changed the genre. I mean, like, you know, that Smells Like Teen Spirit could be on a lot of other bands' albums.
Yeah, that's a good
I still
one.
say my most upsetting Nirvana story was in 1991 after Nevermind came out. I had just transferred to Virginia Tech, and the student union was having they have a concert series, and they put it to a vote, and it was either Nirvana or Violent Femmes, and Violent Femmes won. And I love the Violent Femmes, but I was just like, because a lot of people didn't know Nirvana. They just didn't know them. This was like fall of 91, like the album had just come out. And now I'm still pissed. I'm like, I could have seen Nirvana with like 500 people. Like it was a small. Anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. Is it my turn?
No,
I
he's
still
got a
no, I
second.
got one more.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The other album I'll throw out at this point is, and this one's not chalk. This one's very personal. I'm a huge metalhead, as everybody knows. I grew up, one of the first metal albums, or one of the first bands whose albums I heard, is a band called Iron Maiden. And they were the quintessential pure heavy metal group in the vein of like Judas Priest and Saxon, bands like that, not thrash metal, but like heavy metal, where they would sing about dragons or knights or like
Lord of the
wizards.
Rings. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm gonna go with Iron Maiden's 1984 album Power Slave.
Okay.
Now most people would say it's Number of the Beast. Maybe they would argue that it's Somewhere in Time. For me, Power Slave is their best album. It was my favorite when I was young. I still listen to Maiden to this day, and it's, in my mind, it's really a perfect metal album.
And
Power
and-
Slave.
and they were like one of the only bands to have like what's sort, not a logo, but Eddie. What would you call it?
They have a mascot.
Mascot.
They have
Yes,
a
the
mascot.
mascot.
And their lead singer flies them around the world in his own plane, right?
Yeah, Bruce Dickinson, right?
I mean, isn't that crazy?
Again,
Well,
not
I
on
think-
my list, but much respect.
And I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that. I love that you can just call them Maiden.
They're
Right?
Maiden.
Everybody knows, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you can Iron Maiden, you can like get it down to one word. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I can. At this point, I can. Damn it.
You know, it's funny. I need to listen to them, Jack. I mean, in earlier episodes, we've talked about like I didn't come in to appreciate Led Zeppelin until I was in my 30s. Like I
still
just
don't
never.
appreciate it.
And then and Iron Maiden is one of those bands. Like people I knew were into them. I just never dove
Run
into it,
to
and I need to, because so
the-
many people I respect
Fucking-
love
Yeah.
them, and I'm like,
Well,
I need to.
Yeah, no, I would check out the Power Slave album. I mean, just the musicianship, the vocals. I mean, if you know, as long as some people like would listen to heavy metal lyrics and be like, "Oh, this is silliness." But when you really listen to
No.
I think you'll love it. Go for Power Slave or go for Number of the Beast. That's most people, that's their favorite.
That's the one
Well,
with Run to the Hills, right?
But doesn't
Yes.
but
Yeah,
doesn't
that's such a
Maiden
great song.
but doesn't Maiden really have like a whole British viewpoint on things too, like
Mhm.
World War II
Yeah.
themes and like
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
that
mean,
can be
that
said
all
of the
comes
wall
through.
as well. That
Yeah,
can be
no,
said of the wall as well.
No,
You know,
the
it was
first
that era. They different branches down a similar path. But here's the thing about like heavy metal at the time. They were so maligned. They're Satanists, blah blah blah. And like when you go back and like say for Metallica 1, which for me that's probably my favorite Metallica album. Yeah, they were commercial, blah blah blah. But there's some great songs on it. And the lyrics to that album, Metallica 1, or what's the one where
Metallica one.
that's a song.
or
That's
the
one
Black,
is a song.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
the Black
one.
album.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Black Album.
That had one.
One
and
was
then
on Justice for All. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and Justice for- fucking the lyrics to their songs are so fucking amazing.
No, yeah, we can't argue. Yeah, Metallica is my
They're
favorite
crazy.
band of all time, and they'll be represented on this list too. In fact, I've already done my two, so I'll move
Let's go
on to Mike.
I'll be quick because these two, and I'm glad we're doing two. These are a little esoteric. I don't expect people to even know these bands or whatever, but give them a listen if you have some time. My number 9 is self-titled The Laws from 1990. They're a British band.
Okay.
Very interesting story behind this band, but the album is just ridiculous, like super crisp pop hooks and all that stuff. Anyway, give it a listen. The Laws, LA''S. And then my number 8, this is my newest album on the list, 2018. A guy I've seen live a few times from Washington State. Album called The Horizon Just Laughed. Damian Gerardo. And I don't expect you guys to know who this guy is because I barely even know who he is. But he, let me put this up here. His aesthetic is like very, very quiet. It's like him, a bass guitar guy, and he plays acoustic, and a lot of it's hard to explain, but he's
What
very
time frame is this from?
2018. But
Oh,
this
relatively
guy,
new. Okay.
he's very prolific, and I don't have any of this guy's albums on my list, but Black Francis from the Pixies, there was a period where he was releasing an album like every like 8 months. Well, Damian Gerardo is in that mode. The guy releases 1.3 albums a year for like the last 6 years, and they're just amazing. But this particular one, The Horizon Just Laughed, is it's just stunning, and I can't stop listening to it. I've been listening to it for 5 years, and I listen to it probably every 2 weeks at least.
Wow.
Like
Okay.
in-
I'm gonna
in
check
total.
that out.
And it's very chill. It's very low key. But anyway, so yeah, The Laws and Damian Gerardo.
All right, cool. Thanks, man.
Oh.
All right, Tom, you're up. You got two?
Oh yeah!
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Born in the USA. And all of mine, again, they're going to be, because they're vinyls, it's going to be from an era where I was purchasing vinyls.
Yeah,
And they're
absolutely.
vinyls that you
1980s.
still have. I got it.
So just real quick. So Born in the USA, Cover Me, Darlington
Mhm.
County, Working on the Highway, Downbound Train, I'm on Fire,
I'm on
No
fire.
Surrender, I'm Going Down, Glory Days, Dancing in the Dark.
Mhm.
All of those on just this one album.
Yeah,
I'm on
no,
fire
it's
is
a great
gorgeous
record.
song. Yeah.
It's a
Wow.
great record. If you like The Boss, you can't really do better than that album. I mean, everybody loves Born to Run. That's the one that gets the most love.
This
But
one,
I mean, he
I
knocked it
opened-
out of the park with all the singles on that fucking thing. I
Yeah.
mean, Jesus.
I opened it up today
And-
for the first time in like a long time. So this is like the inside record
It-
cover, and then it's got this little insert with all the lyrics on it. Remember
Yeah.
when they used to print
Those
the
are
lyrics to all the songs?
And you can't understate how huge that album was. I mean,
Yeah.
it was everywhere for like a year and a half. I mean, he kept releasing singles off that thing. He
Yeah,
toured on
that
it.
whole list I just read. I mean, a lot of those were.
Yeah, no, those are all good songs, even the ones that weren't singles. I mean, I remember like that whole album. Well, I mean, everybody had a copy of that, and it would just play. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a great record. There's no doubt about it. It's just one of those that, because I'm not a big Bruce fan, like I didn't forget about it, but it was not, it was never one of my favorites. But you can't argue with that's a great album. Like, I want to listen to it now. Now that you rattled off all those songs,
To me,
I know.
I want to put it on.
Jack, it's sort of like Nevermind. It's almost so obvious that you want to overlook it, but
Yeah.
it's
You
so
can't.
good. It's
Yeah.
such a good album.
Yeah, and Tom, you're lucky in a way, because as soon as you framed it with, "Hey, I still have these awesome records I loved as a kid. This is what I'm going to base my 10 on." That
Right.
narrows the field for you.
Yeah.
and
Because
and
otherwise
then
it would take weeks to
yeah, well, not
try and
exactly.
decide on 10.
I tried not to obsess about this too much. I finally had to let it go.
Yeah.
But do you have
Okay.
a second one? What's your other one?
This one, I'm kind of breaking your
Oh,
rules.
yes.
Wow, nice.
Because you
Oh.
said no greatest hits, but this was a live.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
These are all
You can
live.
do
And this,
live.
it was a
I got a
tribute
live
to
one.
Randy Rhoads.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's a
And
great album
the cool
too.
things I like about the Ozzy albums from back then, they're all like, they open up. A lot of them were like double albums.
Mhm.
Nice.
Just gorgeous albums with a handwritten letter to Rand. And then there's
Yeah, no,
Randy
it's a
there.
great record. I had that
One of the
growing
great
up too.
guitarists of all time. I thought he was one of the best. And let me
definitely.
Yeah.
just the songs on here.
Oh, it's all the
So
Sabbath.
I
No,
don't
it's all
know,
the solo.
Crazy Train, Believer,
first two
Mr.
Ozzy
Crowley,
albums.
Flying High Again, Steal
In fact,
Away the Night,
I would venture to say that most
Suicide
people didn't even-
Solution, Iron Man, Paranoid, Goodbye to
I-
Romance, No Bone Movies.
Mhm.
I
It's a
would
great
say, I
record.
would go as far as to say that most people didn't even really get into Ozzy until that album came out.
I would agree. I would agree.
No, Blizzard of Oz. Blizzard of Oz, I think, was pretty
Blizzard
big.
of Oz. I think I've got that one on
but
cassette.
I'm saying that album, like
It
that,
brought a lot of people in. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it did. You know why? Yeah, because they had the video. They had the video with Randy Rhoads, and yeah, you're right. That was
my
a
dad
big
played with
record.
Randy Rhoads, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Desiree. Do you have two?
Yep. So this next one, which you can't really see, the reason I have this one on here is because this is the
Usher.
first actual CD that I ever owned, ever.
Wow.
So this is Usher My Way, came out in 1997. Oh, and you still to this day like that, yo, yo. Like everybody, if you are a fan of hip hop, you know what that song's coming up after that. Like
I remember it.
My Way. And then it's not a cover to cover, but that song still makes me so happy. I just love it. And then the next one is, which you can't see this cover, but talk about iconic. Like this song probably defined my generation. Everybody knows that song. Everybody knows
can't
that
hear
song.
it.
I couldn't hear it.
You
I
didn't
couldn't
hear
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 it.
it?
No.
It's kind of
Man, what's happening?
a
Sound
Zoom
of,
Dang
sound of
it.
silence.
The mic
Here's
doesn't.
why. Here's why. Can you hear it now?
No.
Bullshit. I don't like it. Okay, well, it's
Just tell us.
This
What
thing
is
is
it?
Well, suspense is killing you. It's Dr. Dre 2001.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
So that bling 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 bling, that song.
Yeah.
Gotta love
Okay.
Dre.
The high
Everybody
pitch.
knows that song. Mhm.
And you just
yeah.
remind me of another album that should be on my list. It's definitely
Chronic.
on. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely everyone in if when like I said, when you hear that first bling bling bling, like you know exactly, everyone gets hyped in the club. Everybody.
yeah.
Still to this day. I never actually owned this album, but one time I acquired it for a while.
Okay, it's fair.
Maybe stole it from somebody.
That's fine.
And then
No, we don't judge.
We don't
but
judge.
the weird thing about this album is it's that one song is so iconic, but like there's a couple other good songs on the album. But other than that, I mean, Dr. Dre's a producer. Like he is not really an artist. Even though he was like in NWA and stuff like that, he's more of a producer than really.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Agreed.
This thing that made this album so I get popular also was Snoop Dogg was all over it. Eminem was a little bit in this album. So
But Dre
I don't
definitely
think
had
it was
his
Dr.
own.
Dre himself that was like.
But Dre had his own sound, and he definitely was a producer, probably more than a performer. But I mean, I would put that in the same thing as Jackson. Like to follow up the Chronic, wasn't it the one?
Yeah,
that came
2001
after
followed the Chronic. And everyone.
I mean,
would
that's a
always
hard
call it-
album to follow.
But the Chronic had one good song. Every
I don't know.
other-
Yeah.
I mean,
one
NWA's
big
albums
hit,
were better. I
but-
think NWA's album was better
NWA is
than the
more my
Chronic. I
speed.
think.
Straight
I
Outta
only know it.
Compton is so fucking iconic.
Yeah.
Fucking,
Yeah, that one album is the term "fuck the police." That's where that came from.
straight from the underground.
Yeah, that's from that's our generation. Once
Compton.
all these guys went solo and became like producers, I kind of I tuned out at that. Like I didn't like I wasn't that into it, but it's obviously huge. I mean the guy aren't they like multi millionaires at the
Every
very
single one
least
of
at
them.
this point?
And,
At this
and you
point.
know
Every one of them?
single member of that band.
I don't know.
No, I'm talking about Dre. I mean,
What are you saying?
what's
What are you
that?
doing? He's talking
What-
about
what-
Dre's like
Producers
huge.
make a lot of money, is what he's saying.
Yes, they do. They make a lot of. I mean,
Yeah, but I
obviously,
don't
think
think-
the
I don't
guy's
think
got
every
talent.
member of NWA is like super rich right now.
Oh no! I'm talking about Dre. I'm saying like
Well, some
I
are
like
dead too. Easy.
Well,
died.
Easy E and
Eazy-E, yeah,
Ice
Eazy-E
Cube or
died.
Ice T.
But Ice-T
Ice-T?
was fucking epic.
But the thing is, the genre of hip hop lends itself to having like a menagerie of artists, or like a troupe, or a
Posse.
group that
But
a posse that
actually-
plays on each other's albums, and there's like
I
a
would
producer,
call-
and there's a certain sound that. I mean,
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg is to Dre, is to Eminem. I mean, they're all from the same kind of.
But NWA was
Production.
I wouldn't call them hip hop. I would say they were
They're
the,
rap.
they
They're
were
rap,
the
yeah.
genesis of gangster rap. Like they are when you think gangster rap, if that's not the NWA, Straight Outta Compton isn't the first album that comes to mind. I don't know.
which
That
is
is
kind
true.
of
That probably is true.
and again, which is kind of a weird label too. I mean, and again, I'm not like one of
What
these
you were
people
going
that
for.
I know, but like the whole term gangster rap is like, anyway, it's just kind of weird to me.
I think
But
Yeah.
today we just call it rap.
Yeah, sure.
No,
but
now it's
it
just
was a
hip
different
hop.
style. I mean, but you know, they didn't call Guns N' Roses gangster rock, right? But Guns N' Roses were
But it's
pretty
got grunge.
pretty
Stay off my
mean.
list.
There's that
No,
genre.
they were considered a hair band, which I always thought was unfair.
Yeah, no, they were a
Yeah.
lot meaner than a hair band.
Yeah, they were like sleaze rock, I like to call it.
Yeah, man.
All right, so
But Mike, I'm proud of you that
All
you
right.
knew by a picture that was Usher.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I
I'm
know
impressed,
Usher.
Mike. I'm impressed.
All right, I know my stuff.
All right,
We're
so
at the
I'm gonna
46
knock
minute
off.
mark, by the way.
We should
All
do
right,
two
so
again.
I'm gonna go with let's do two, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with two that probably have the most critical acceptance. I didn't see them on anybody's favorite like top 50 or top 100 list, but to me they're really chalk. One of them is from 1971, and that's my favorite album by one of my favorite bands. That's the Rolling Stones' Sticky Fingers album.
Wow.
Now, these guys have so many records. They have arguably like there's what's considered like their five best, maybe like Exile on Main Street, Goat's Head Soup, Beggar's Banquet. But to me, Let It Bleed is another one. To me, Sticky Fingers is it's not like it's chock full of like hit singles that you would know, but it just speaks to me the most. Like you have, Bitch, Can You Hear Me Knocking, Brown Sugar, Moonlight Mile. What else is on that one? Sister Morphine. Like if you listen to Sticky Fingers cover to cover, like I highly recommend it. Shut the lights off, turn it up, close your eyes. It's really the quintessential Stones album to me. Everybody says Exile on Main Street. That's good. That's really good too. You can't argue with it. But Sticky Fingers is my favorite.
Wild
And then I'm going to
horses.
go with another one that's probably chalk for this band, but it still holds up to me. I listen to it again. Like I listen to this album every day for years. I kind of tapped out of the band because I got busy and I got into other stuff. I wasn't following their new stuff as much. But I got to say, U2, Octung Baby, one of my favorite albums. One of my
Yeah.
favorite
Hey, how
albums.
come their albums ended up on everyone's iPhones?
What's that?
Well, the one album did.
That's not Octung Baby. That's
Acting
how
Baby, man. I mean,
that's like how to build an atomic bomb or something.
But what a fantastic album. I mean,
Yeah.
unbelievably. I mean, and they're coming off. So they have Joshua Tree, and then they go into Rattle and Hum, which is like basically Joshua Tree live. And then it's all about America, and it's all like kind of like roots rock. And then they just totally go the whole other direction, and it's like this European like noise rock, like almost club music. I mean, it was like they were the biggest band in the world, and they just totally went in a totally other direction and brought everyone with them. That's what was so great about it. It's like they didn't.
Balls.
Yeah,
they
they
had
have huge balls. And that album, to this day, it rocks. That album is amazing. I mean, cover to cover.
Yeah, cover to cover. I still love it. I'd recommend it. I have no problem. I mean, like I don't think there's a bad song on it.
I think so.
I think their best song ever, in my opinion, is on it, which is One.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect little song. I mean, it really is. I think it's moving. I think it's catchy. I think the lyrics are something else, and it's just simple. I mean, I'm learning how to play chords, and I've figured out how to play that song. I mean, so it's not like it's that complicated. It's just a great. And then you have other songs on there like The Fly.
Yeah.
Zeus Station, which just sound like very techno, kind of vibe.
Love is Blindness.
Love is Blindness is great. So yeah, those are two more for me. Highly recommend those two.
What's the name of the song? It goes, "You say you give me diamonds."
That's on Joshua Tree.
Yeah, that's on. No, that's on Rattle and Hum.
That is my favorite song by them, hands down.
Yeah, what song is that? That's
All I Want Is You.
All I Want Is You. It's the
That's
last
Rattle and Hum.
last song. Crazy
Gotcha.
video too. It's like the Circus Freaks video.
But Rattle and Hum, yeah, man. That's
All right.
my
So do you want to do 2 again, or
Yeah, we're
all right?
doing
So
2.
who's I think
So me?
Zeus again, right?
So this is where it gets a little tougher. You mentioned one, and I had to put them on the list. So my number 4 and 5 are Alice in Chains with Man in the Box. What album was it?
Facelift.
Facelift. Maybe not that album, but that song. When you talk about grunge beginning, that's when I say grunge began.
Wait a minute, you gotta pick an album. What's on your album list?
What name their first ones? Facelift, and what's the next one?
Dirt.
Dirt. That's the one.
Okay.
But for me, grunge began with them. It was like a year before.
I
Nirvana
agree.
came out.
No, Zeus,
Who
you're
is
totally
this?
right.
Dirt.
Yeah.
Who is this?
They were the beginning of grunge.
Who?
Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains.
Oh, okay.
They came out with Man in the Box, and it was just fucking hard. It was just a beast song, and I didn't even know that it was grunge until like 10 years later. I'm like, you know what? These guys are the guys.
Yeah, no, Zeus. What's funny about that is it came to like we all came to realize that they were part of the Seattle grunge scene. But when Facelift and Man in the Box first came out, I first saw that video and heard that song. I want to say on like something like Headbangers Ball.
Yes,
Wow.
Like
yes,
they were a long-haired metal band as far as the world knew.
But they really weren't. They were kind of grungy then. They were like not.
Well, they just hadn't. I mean, the world hadn't really come up with the grunge label yet, so they were ahead of the curve. You're right about that.
I'll say this about Alice in Chains: Lance Staley and who's the Jerry Cantrell. Yep. I don't give a fuck. They were both fucking amazing.
Yeah, they are. They wrote everything, and
everybody wants to be like in one camp or the other. No, they were both fucking amazing.
All right, so your album is Dirt, even though you didn't get into it. What's your other album?
My other album, this one's where you guys are going to start mocking me.
And by the way, Dirt's a good call. It's a very good album. It's excellent.
My other one, which you guys are probably going to mock me on this one, but Jack, you may not, because you and I listened to this album endlessly in your apartment over there in Crystal City.
Oh, is it Counting Crows? He always goes Counting Crows.
Nope.
Ah,
Skid Row.
Skid Row.
Which one?
What? Skid Row.
Which one? The first one, album?
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. What's the second album? It had Monkey.
Wait a minute. What album are you talking about? Slave to the Grind?
Slave to the Grind. I'm sorry. I thought it was Skid Row. But
no, Skid Row. Yeah, which one is your favorite? I'm missing this.
The first one. Skid Row.
With 18 in Life.
18 in Life.
I Remember You.
Yeah, I Remember You. Fucking great album. Now, that's not to take away from Slave to the Grind, because that was a fucking great album too. But Skid Row, I still to this day, I listen to them constantly. Yeah,
you're on a big 80s kick. You've been talking about a lot of those bands on the text.
Is Skid Row 80s? I would have thought 90s.
Yes. No, Skid Row's 80s.
89.
The first album was 80s, I think.
Slave to the Grind probably was in the 90s with Monkey Business. And
yeah, that might have been early 90s. I think they were both 80s.
Yeah, but Skid Row, I know it's weird. That is a go-to album. I can always listen to it and just fucking rock out to it. It's a great album. Maybe not the greatest of all time or anything like that. But
no, it's they're your favorites. They're your favorites. Yeah. All right, good. Mike, what about you?
So let me bring, this one is a little bit of a right or a little curve, but let me jump out of here. Daft Punk, Random Access Memories from 2013. I don't know. I wasn't a huge Daft Punk fan before this album. Daft Punk. They're
okay.
Anyway, this album, if you have not heard it, people have compared. It's basically a disco album, but it really gets compared a lot to Dark Side of the Moon, Sgt. Pepper's, those type of albums. In that it's it's such, or OK Computer, where it's such its own thing, and there's so much there sonically. Like when you listen to it, it's one of those albums that if you listen to it 20 times, you'll hear something different every single time. I personally, on a personal note, I love this album because when my wife and I started dating, we were listening to this a lot, and then also my daughter now, she's heard us play it, and she loves this album like organically. Like she just was like, "Hey, let's listen to this album." So, but anyway,
what's the album called, Mike?
Random Access Memories. It was
Okay.
Daft Punk's last album. I mean, because they broke up after this.
Random Access Memories. Got it.
And so that was my number 7. My number 6, again, pretty obscure. I mean, I don't know. You guys probably know the Afghan Wigs.
Yeah. Gentlemen.
Greg. Well, no, it's not an Afghan Wigs album, but Greg Dully, the lead singer, he has done a lot of side projects. He did Gutter Twins with Mark Lanigan from Screaming Trees. He also had another band called the Twilight Singers, which was just like this rotating troupe of musicians. Anyway, 2004, if you haven't heard it, probably more than any other song or any other album on my list, do yourself a favor, get or listen to an album called She Loves You by the Twilight Singers. So it was the Twilight Singers' 3rd album, highly anticipated. Dudley took a total left turn, and it's all covers. It's 12 cover songs, and the songs that he covers are from like Marvin Gaye, Coltrane, Mary J. Blige, Bjork. Oh, I mean, it's like very, very kind of all over the place, but it's completely beautiful, amazing. It's one of those albums. There's one other one on this list that I'll get to later that I compare to She Loves You, where, again, it came out in 2004, but you can put it on any time, and it's timeless. I mean, it's just an amazing album, and no one knows about it. It's kind of like it's kind of one of those. But anyway,
something to the albums that nobody knows about that you fucking love. You know what I mean? Like I turned you on to Butch Walker. I don't know.
No, absolutely.
Butch Walker is
similar. It's similar idea where it's just beautiful music. It's just
nobody
amazing.
knows him, and he's written for like Pink and fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's written for fucking everybody, and he does his own shit, and it's pretty fucking good.
One thing, just jumping back, and then I'll hop off of here. But Random Access Memories. You guys have all heard "Get Lucky," the song? No.
If we heard it, we might recognize.
Yeah, if you heard it, you would know it.
No,
anyway,
Mike, sing a little of it for us.
No, I'm not singing it, but that was off this album. And then I have to dovetail back real quick to what Jack was saying, and I have another comment too. For Rolling Stones, for me, it's hard because I love the Rolling Stones, but for me, it's Some Girls. That is
no, Mike. Some Girls I was on the fence with Some Girls too because I love that album. Like I love everything. Like Respectable is one of my favorite Stones songs, which is on there.
Before They Make Me Run.
It was very difficult. Some Girls did come up in my head because that's a CD I have too that I listen. I pretty much wore it out. You know what I mean?
It's just a beautiful album. And then the last point, and before I jump off this part, I feel like we're cramming all this in. But when I was thinking of best albums, and I was talking to my wife, the interesting thing is, like what Desiree's talking about, like, when you engage with music and where you are with the technology, right? Whether it's Tom has vinyls, Desiree's probably like downloading stuff, and things are more singles based now. They're not album based. When I was growing up, I had a cassette deck in my cars, and you would get a Memorex or a Maxell 90-minute tape, 45 minutes per side, which was just about fit an album on each side. And so, like, for me, when people were like, "Oh, what's your favorite album?" I'm like, Grateful Dead, American Beauty, and Working Man's Dead, because in my experience, they were on the same tape. One was on the A side, one was on the B side. I didn't even know they were separate albums. Like to me, it was all like one thing.
There are no B sides. There's no B-sides anymore. It's just
Yeah.
Well, that
and
well
that's
that was like in my first pick, Full Moon Fever, on the CD version of that song or of that album, CD version. At the end of track 5, there's a thing where Tom Petty comes on. He's like, "Hello, CD listeners. In respect for our friends that are listening on vinyl and cassette, please pause a moment while we flip the album over to the other side, even though you don't have to do that because it's a CD." Like, he actually comes on and says that in the on the CD version of the album. But anyway, that was
Christ,
on.
Stone.
Anyway, so on to that was what I got
Tom or
there.
Desiree?
Tom.
All right. Next.
Oh, yes.
This one,
Thank you.
I remember picking this up at the Waxy Maxi.
Waxy
Probably,
Max.
what was it? 80. This one was 87, I think.
Yep.
Is there a better opening to any album ever
Wait.
than
Right.
Welcome to the
Welcome to the
Jungle?
Jungle.
See, now that's DNR is on my list, but it's not that album. But
Oh, it's got it's
I don't
It's
have
a
anything else
respectable
on
album.
vinyl from them.
That album is perfect.
yes, that's a great
is,
album.
it is,
Good
but-
call.
but
Let me
again,
give you some.
iconic for you, not mine.
Well, let him
Yeah, go ahead.
have his turn.
Welcome
here.
to the
Go ahead, Tom.
Jungle, Night Train, Mr. Brownstone, Paradise City, Sweet Child of Mine.
Mama Show.
Yeah, that's on there. That's not
Rocket
one of my
Queen.
favorites.
Hey,
but
wait
yeah,
a minute!
it's
You
on here.
forgot,
Rocket
Tom. You
Queen. Jeez.
skipped my favorite. You skipped my favorite. The second track. It's so easy.
It's so,
It's
easy.
so
Yeah,
easy.
it's so
Oh,
easy.
it's so good. It's
And a
so
lot of
good. That's
these
a
weren't
great
radio
selection.
play, except maybe like late night on certain stations. But man, good album.
Listen,
Yeah, it's crazy.
On the back.
that album is so amazing. I remember the first time I heard it.
Mhm.
My car had broken down. I was working as a projectionist at Campus Hill Cinemas in Churchville, Maryland.
I got it. It's
I
another
was
projection.
getting off of work. My friend Toss, who lived in Kingsville, he came to pick me up because I needed a ride home. He pulls up in the parking lot. It's like bumblefuck o'clock in the morning. I come out. He has an Oldsmobile Cutlass. I get in. He's got a tape deck. He's like, "You gotta listen to this."
Yep.
Puts it in. We sat there for like an hour, and I just listened to this. I'd never heard anything
Right.
quite
They're great.
like it
It's
before,
kind of like
and
jarring because it was different.
it was so
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
intense.
for people listening, this was Guns N' Roses' "Appetite for Destruction."
Yeah,
If you're not watching this,
and it was named after the title of the album comes from the title of a piece of artwork that was originally the cover that they wouldn't
Mhm.
allow them to use, which is actually on the inner
Oh, yeah.
sleeve. Oh, if you
One
open
with
it
the
up,
little
you'll see
girl.
I can't remember
Oh,
who
with
the
the
artist
robot.
was.
The robot
Jumping over the
Yes.
It's a freaking badass. That was the original cover, and they wouldn't let
Yeah.
him put it on the
yeah,
cover.
very Dolly-esque.
No, it's got a woman raped at the bottom
Yeah,
of it. It's
it's
a
pretty
little, that's
crazy.
really what it. No, what's effed up, Mike. I had a Guns N' Roses T-shirt for that album, and
I did too.
and that piece of art, the prohibited album cover, the intended cover, was the back of the T-shirt.
Oh no!
And I
didn't
remember
have that
I
T-shirt.
remember my mom was like, "Get that off,
Yeah,
and throw it in the garbage," and I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, I guess I
Yeah.
gotta do that." Yeah.
Yeah, I
Man,
don't think you
Anyway,
can wear that to school.
That's a great choice,
Tom, that's a great pick, man.
Yeah, no.
By the way, yeah, if you're listening to this on Spotify, which I hope
Yeah.
everyone will be soon, you can just Spotify has all these songs. You can just set up a playlist. We should do like a Friends of Zeus playlist.
That-
My
I'm
Spotify
writing all
won't
these
fit very
down.
well, you guys.
Yeah.
What do you got
Okay.
next?
This
Oh,
one.
no way.
Brian
Yep.
Adams is fucking solid, dude.
I actually
Oh,
got
wow.
this. Brian Adams. This is Reckless.
Summer of
Wait,
'69
wait.
was fucking amazing.
Wait. Describe
Listen.
the album. Yeah.
Wait, One Night Love Affair. Run to You.
Run to
Somebody. Summer of '69.
Summer of '69.
Those are the ones. I think those are the best ones. But damn. Brian, and this is 84.
Oh
I was
yeah,
gonna say 84.
he was one of
84 was a good year.
the forefathers of
Goddamn.
MTV.
Good year for vinyl.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
Brian
Brian-
Adams is like 4'5". right? Really?
He's like a Tom
Isn't-
Cruise
He's got
size.
horrible acne. Horrible.
But I mean, what a great, and he's still performing.
Yeah, he was like Canada's biggest export.
I
Yeah,
would
that
go see him
voice,
in a
that
heartbeat.
raspy voice.
If he came into town, I would see him in a heartbeat. He is fucking great.
It's a great, yeah, that's fantastic.
That's a nice pull.
All
What's the
right.
name of that album,
No,
Tom?
I'm
Reckless.
I'm
Reckless.
digging Tom's record collection from back in the day. It's
Yeah,
definitely good
me too.
stuff. And I got to say, Appetite for Destruction. That's a great pick. It was on like an honorable mention for me because even though I loved it and I digested it and I ate it and I breathed it, I didn't know if in my mind I still considered it one of my favorites, but it definitely track for track. You can't argue with it. I mean,
Every song is good.
fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. I think I have 5
Hey,
left. Does that
Desiree.
sound
Oh, I
right?
didn't. You skipped
Yes.
me.
Yeah,
Oh,
Desiree's
Des, I'm
gotta go.
sorry. I just saw the clock. Go ahead, Des. You got
Okay,
2
so
more?
I
We're
regrouped
good.
mine. I'm actually gonna do 3. I regrouped mine because I only have 3 pop albums on here, so I'm just gonna do them right now. And you guys are ready to make fun of me?
No,
No.
not at all.
Oh yeah, you are. So this one, the
Oh,
next
yes,
one
we
is the
are.
Britney Spears album. Yes, you are.
Yeah, we are going to.
Oops, I did it again. Now this
Nah,
is good.
it's
This is
solid.
good. This is good.
It's solid.
I actually think that her first album, the Baby One More Time, is a better cover to cover situation, but there are some bops on this. Oops, Oops, I Did It Again, and then Lucky, like still this day is a good song, so whatever.
That's okay.
My next one is really, it came out like when I was maybe still in middle school,
Mhm.
but Christina
Wow.
Aguilera's Dirty, or her Stripped album has Dirty on it. Everyone knows that song.
I know that song.
Yeah. So that's on this album, which everyone loves that song even to this day. But a lot of things, I would say this is maybe what the first time I listened, it's like a cover to cover, because I really like maybe 6 years later got into all of like the non-hit songs on this album because they touch you. They like you can relate to them. Like I'm a girl, she's a girl. She went through a lot of hard shit. I went through a lot of hard shit. So you can relate to a lot of her songs on this song. Well, I could anyway. So I kind of went back to this. Then now you guys are about to really make fun of me on this one.
No.
Yeah, you are. Okay,
Yeah.
so okay, good. Can't say it. Taylor Swift. This is
Okay, yes. I
Yeah.
will. So yes.
but you know what? Everyone can say what they want about Taylor Swift, but the thing
She's
about
good.
Taylor Swift is for girls, and not necessarily like women, but for girls, her songs are like good, like positive, upbeat, like, self, not body positive, but like
Not dirty.
self-positive, songs. And, it's good for
Relatively
children. Yeah, it's clean music, whatever. But
Yeah.
this is it's called 1989. Obviously, it didn't come out in 1989. But
That's when she was born, right?
This album has the song called Blank Spaces.
Love that song.
I love that song. Like, that is the girls' version of, like, how guys, the game, like the relationship game, like, whatever, players and get in the game. This is like how girls look at that situation. How psycho
It's
bitches
a
like
good
go to one guy
song.
from the other, make you cry, do this, figure out what you like to like. This is a good song.
I
So keep going.
gotta listen to some Taylor Swift, man.
If I may, Desiree,
Uh-huh.
I was doing my list out in front of Patriots Pub and Grill, where I am right now. Come by and see us. And Chelsea, who you guys probably all know. her.
Yeah.
And she was like, put Taylor Swift on there, and I was like, Blank Space, only song I like.
Blank Space is that's a
great-
jam.
It's a good song. It's
Yes.
it's catchy. It's
Now
words you like that are put together in whatever way you need.
her
Not
album
my jam, but it's a good song.
her album Fearless, I think, that's the one I had on originally for Taylor Swift's spot on this list. But I changed that to this one because this Blank Spaces is just the best song ever.
It's a solid song.
It's a good song.
solid song.
So yeah.
All right, so Jack.
I like doing the 2 at a time.
Well,
Yeah,
sorry,
I
I had to
think-
do 3.
Well, that's
all right.
Desiree, that was a good call to do that because I think I'm looking
can
at
do
mine
3.
now and I've got 5 left. Does that sound about right to
Yeah.
everybody?
I got 5
Okay.
left.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so
We're like an hour and 10 into
That's
this.
cool. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we're good on time. All right, so
You
I
want to do
will
our
do.
final 5?
Do you want all 5 or
Let's
just 2?
do 3 and then 2.
Okay.
Let's
Okay,
do-
we'll do three.
I like Desiree's idea of 3.
All right, so we'll do 3 and then 2. Okay, I'm just gonna go with these 3. One of them is from my all-time. This was tough because it's my favorite band. Every album theoretically would be one of my favorite albums. Well, no, not every. They've had a couple of lunkers over the years, at least one that's terrible.
Every great band does.
But my favorite band's Metallica. It was so hard to pick one album.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
really tried to I really should have picked 2, but I made myself pick one, and that's Metallica Ride the Lightning. Now, the reason why I went with Ride the Lightning over Master of Puppets
Yeah.
is really the only reason I gave it the nod was because it was my introduction to Metallica. The first time I ever heard them, I was already into Iron Maiden and to some extent like Judas Priest, Ozzy Osbourne. And a friend of mine had it on cassette. He said, "Oh, check this out. I think you'll like this." And he had like a Walkman. So I popped the walk. I popped the
It's the same
Walkman.
friend from before.
Which one?
The last album you said a friend played it for you.
I'm trying to think of which one you're talking
No,
about.
I think that was Mike. Mike was talking about
Yeah, I
Appetite
think that
for-
was Mike.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was Mike. I
Good
think.
program, Tom.
No, anyway, so the guy, so he had it somewhere in the middle of side 2, and it was a song called "Creeping Death." Was just
Yeah.
starting off, and I had never heard. I was already into metal, but this was thrash metal. It reminded me of classical music, just the riffs that they were playing, and then I immediately picked up that it was about Moses and the parting of the Red Seas and the curses put on the pharaohs, the creeping death, literally, where they would take the firstborn son of the Egyptians. Of course, I'm a Catholic. I saw the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston. I totally made the connection. And I couldn't believe somebody had taken that and put it to this heavy, aggressive music.
Yeah.
And of course, that day I bought the album. I also bought Master of Puppets because I think that had already been out at that point, and I was hooked ever since. And so I give the nod to Ride the Lightning. The other one that I'll talk about, well, there's 2 other ones. The other one, Tom, I'm so glad that you pulled Ozzy Osbourne's Randy Rhoads tribute because I actually have on my faves a live album by Ozzy Osbourne. When I really gave it a lot of thought, it was one of the first. It was a double album, just like Tribute. It's called "Speak of the Devil,"
Yeah.
and what it is it's a live concert album. So it's the double album. It's 4 sides, and it's a way to get around the greatest hits because at that point in my life, I didn't know that these were songs from a band called Black Sabbath that was basically going to become one of my favorite bands of all time. Like I was aware of Black Sabbath, but that's something the older kids listened to. They were from like the late 60s, early 70s, dark death metal, whatever. And so they were, I had never been exposed to them. And I saw Ozzy Osbourne, I had heard of Crazy Train. I picked up this double album because he looked like the devil on the cover, and I loved Number of the Beast. And it's all of Black Sabbath's greatest songs, not played by those band members. It's not Tony Iommi or any of those guys. It's these other great musicians. But if you look at the songs on Speak of the Devil, it's literally a Black Sabbath with Ozzy greatest hits album. But it's all concert. It's live. It sounds like you're there. It's fucking amazing. So I highly recommend "Speak of the Devil" by Ozzy
Probably like
Osbourne.
War Pigs and Fairies with Boots.
It's
all
got
of those.
everything. I highly recommend it. You got all your
Man, I got a whole list of stuff to listen to.
Hey,
It's so
you
good.
got one more, Jack?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to throw this one out. Now, this one is, as far as the band goes, it's chalk. It's one of the best rock and roll bands of all time. It's personally my favorite of their albums, and that's Led Zeppelin 2.
Wow.
Second album. Everybody goes 1 or they go 4.
4. Yeah.
I got to go with 2. 2 is the one that just speaks to me the most. It actually has like a drums only practically an entirely drums only song. I mean, it's got a
That
drum
was John
solo on it.
Bonham. John
Yes,
Bonham was one
John
of the
Bonham,
greatest
of course.
drummers ever, hands down.
Anyway, all of side 1 is amazing. I think all of side 2 is amazing. It's my favorite Zeppelin album, so that's one of my favorites. I would go cover to cover on that too.
Cool.
Remember which songs are on that one? Do you recall?
On Zeppelin 2,
Yeah.
Whole Lot of Love, What Is and Should Never Be, Heartbreaker, Living, Love and Made, Ramble On.
Ramble on.
It's just so good.
All right, so I'm up next, right?
Yeah,
We're doing
so,
3.
Okay, so this one,
Yeah, you did it. Wait, Zeus, you already admitted that you did this list on a napkin in the parking lot at Patriots Place.
No, but I was thinking about it all day.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
The core of it was good. But as we've been talking, I did have to change one. I got rid of one of my lower tier ones. STP Core.
Yeah,
Stone
good
Temple
album.
Pilots Core. From the beginning to the fucking end, that album is epic. Every single song is just plush. Fucking what else is on there? I'm at a loss. We've been going for a while now. But I just know that, again, that was one that you and I, sitting in your room over there in Crystal City, listen to that album constantly,
giving each other foot massages.
Yes, singing. No, we would
each other's backs.
No, we would sing to each other. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Kiss each other's necks.
Yeah.
Doing
No,
pedicures,
that album's got Plush, Sex Type Thing, Wicked Garden, Cracker Man.
Wow.
Dead and Bloated. It's a great record.
Half a Pack Smokes. You know which one I'm talking about? Oh man.
No, you lost me there.
I can't.
I mean,
remember.
I haven't heard it in ages, but it's a great album. I mean, I may listen to
Scott
it
Weiland,
tomorrow actually because I'd like to.
Scott Weiland was fucking amazing. Like his beat was great, and then they moved on to have like 5 or 6 more albums that were.
Yeah, no, dude. I was a diehard, and I still, I guess, am. I know he passed away, but I was a diehard STP fan. I saw them live in concert with, I think, Linkin Park opened up for them back when he was alive.
Son of a bitch.
They're one of my favorite groups. There was no album that to me was a cover to cover favorite album that I could pick.
I go with Core on that one.
Yeah, Core's it's a great album. That's what got me into that.
Every song I remember. It's
you got
funny
2
you
more?
mentioned. It's the funny you mentioned the other one, Linkin Park. Fucking goddamn if I don't love that band so much.
Is that one of your albums or no?
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the album. It's the one with In the End, Crawling.
Something Theory.
Yeah. Hybrid Theory.
Hybrid Theory.
Yeah, Linkin Park. God, man, like.
Wait, guys, are they that good? Because I missed the boat on Linkin Park for whatever reason.
You got to put them in, man.
All right, so what's the album?
Linkin Park sucks ass.
Wow.
They had an album entitled Hot Dog Flavored Water and Chocolate Starfish.
No, that's Limp Bizkit.
No,
oh, it was?
Limp
Okay.
Bizkit.
Well, Limp Bizkit sucks ass too.
Yeah, Limp Bizkit sucks ass. Linkin Park fucking crushes.
It's all the rap rock stuff, Desiree. That's what you're.
But Linkin
see,
Park
I don't-
isn't
wait,
really
is
rap
that-
rock.
Wait, is that
Park
what Mike? Is that Linkin Park? They're like the rap rock shit. Because I hate that.
The whole thing with Linkin Park is they had like an operatic singer and a rapper, and so they had
And they
2
were in
lead singers.
Transformers.
Yeah, fuck that. I can't do
No.
that.
Listen, if you ask, you should listen to it. Listen to what was Hybrid Theory?
Hybrid Theory.
Got
It is.
Indian, Crawling. Dude, the album. They're fucking amazing.
Okay.
And like they recently had a song right before, because Chris Cornell died, and then Chester Bennington, the lead singer of Linkin Park, sings this
I
song
know.
"One More Light." And if you ever hear this song "One More Light," it will bring tears to your eyes. And then he dedicates it to Chris Cornell and then kills
And
himself.
then he dies.
Later. No, he killed himself. They both
That's
killed
what yeah, right.
Yeah. And for me, that was really moving. But yeah, no, they're legit.
You know what? I'll check out Hybrid Theory. I'm writing all these down.
I'm writing them all
check
down.
out all these.
I've been listening to like Daft Punk. I want to listen to because I never really gave them a listen.
Yeah, same.
My other one, and this is my GNR. For me, GNR Lies was fucking amazing.
It's a good album.
It is, man.
Love that. Appetite for Destruction. I kind of, after hearing all the songs that were on it, I'm kind of like maybe not, but like I used to love
Use Your Illusion. I think was maybe my number 2.
Yeah, I mean, Lies was one side is a collection of earlier live performances, and then the B side is, or the other side is like One in a Million, which is the most non-PC song.
I used to love her, but
it's a beautiful song.
Fucking great song.
That's your anthem, Zeus.
But it
also very easy to learn on guitar.
Didn't it also have? I think it also had Civil War. It had Patience.
No.
That's
Use Your Illusion.
Oh, that's Use Your Illusion. Yes, you're right.
Dude, Zeus, who did your list?
Yeah, Lies. Half of Lies was recorded before Appetite. The other half was recorded after Appetite.
Right. Yes, and it's what is it? It's Patience.
It's 8 songs.
But it's on that album. It's Patience. I Used to Love Her. One in a Million, and what's the other one? I can't think of the 4th acoustic song for the life of me.
Well, those 3 alone are fucking amazing.
I can't remember.
I can't remember, but it's a good. Even the live shit on there, Mike, is really good.
It is the live side. When I first got it, I loved the one side, but then as I've gotten older, I like the live side more.
Yeah, and it's like covers. I think it's covers on the live side. They do an AC/DC song. They do an Aerosmith song on there too.
Yeah, for me, that was my that's when I got into GNR.
The only more forgotten GNR album than that is the Spaghetti Incident. No one remembers that.
I remember. You know what? That was all covers.
But I remember
They had a Manson cover. They did a Manson.
They did a Manson cover. Right. That's right. What song was it? What song?
I can't remember, but it was on Spaghetti Incident.
I want to say it was pretty
on
awful,
Spaghetti Incident. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No. I remember they did a Soundgarden cover on there. They did a Nazareth cover.
Nazareth.
They did that old song Since I Don't Have You.
Yeah.
I think that was on there. Yeah, everybody forgot about that record. You're right.
Yeah. But Linkin Park, GNR Lies, and STP Core. That was my next 3.
All right. Okay, cool. Who's up next, Mike?
Yeah, let me jump to
I'll be right back, guys.
Hold on.
This will be your 5, 4, and 3, I think.
Yeah, 5, 4, and 3. So number 5.
If you're ranking it.
I'm going to jump through this real quick. So one of my favorite bands of all time is Wilco.
Oh, boy.
And
Wilco. Mike's a Wilco guy.
Oh, man. Dad rock, man. So it's hard to pick my favorite. I mean, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, obviously. That's on my honorable mention. It should be number 1. Anyway, this album was a collaboration from 1998. Billy Bragg, who's like a Marxist, communist folk singer, and Wilco teamed up at the behest of Woody Guthrie's daughter. There were, you guys know who Woody Guthrie is. This land is your land. This land is my land, whatever. She had all of these lyrics, hundreds of song lyrics that he had written and never had written any music for them. And she let Billy Bragg and the members of Wilco dive into this trove of lyrics, and they recorded 2 albums, Mermaid Avenue and then Mermaid Avenue #2. And so Billy Bragg and Wilco wrote the music, but they used Woody Guthrie's lyrics.
That's cool.
It is a perfect album. I mean, it's not my number 1, but I mean, it is.
Wow.
I listened to this thing. I must have heard this album 5,000 times. I mean, it's just a go-to. It's just beautiful. Woody Guthrie's lyrics are amazing. Wilco and Billy Bragg take turns with lead singing, and so if you know Billy Bragg, there's some songs that are more like him, some are more like Wilco. Anyway, it's a fantastic album. My number 4, that was number 5. Number 4, and this one's an outlier, and I don't know if any of you guys, Jack probably knows this, but it's a live album from, man, when is this from? 1988 or something? Ministry, In Case You Didn't Feel Like Showing Up Live, which is it's 6 tracks, but it's still like 45 minutes long, even though it's only 6 tracks. And they re-released it, which I haven't heard, later with some additional tracks, but it's got The Missing, Burning Inside, Stigmata. It's got an almost 12-minute version of So What on it if you're in the Ministry. It is one of the hardest, most crazy albums, live album. It's just amazing. It's amazing. Number 3,
No, I was gonna say is with Ministry, because I had a buddy who was really he was like a hairband guy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he heard 9 Inch Nails, and then he became like an industrial fan.
Yeah.
And the album that he and I both liked, because it walked the line between just like what I thought was metal and what he thought was they really are industrial.
Yeah.
Was a Ministry had an album called Psalm 69.
Yes, that was later. Yeah.
Which is an amazing album.
Sonically. Yeah, that's a crazy album.
It's so lyrically, the way it sounds.
NWO, I think NWO was on that.
Yes.
And Jesus Put My Hot Rod.
Yes, Scarecrow. It's a sick record. It's probably it's worth a listen again. I may have to listen
if
to that
you
tomorrow.
like Psalm 69, you're going to absolutely love
In Case You
Didn't Feel Like Showing Up Live.
Okay, I wrote it down.
It's
all right, cool.
Freaking phenomenal. Anyway, and then my number 3, this is my favorite band of all time. I've seen them. The only band I've seen more than this is They Might Be Giants, and I don't even have They Might Be Giants on my list, is REM. It's very hard to pick one album.
Oh, wait a minute. Go say it.
You want me to tell you?
Is it Monster?
No. Although I mean, I have a reason to love all of them. I literally love all of their albums, but this is the one that's my number 1 is Document from 1987. Okay. It is the first one I really started listening to, but as I've gotten older, they're at their peak. There's just not a bad song on it.
What are some songs on the album?
The one I love, Welcome to the Occupation. It's the Underworld as We Know It.
Okay.
And I Feel Fine. It's just a phenomenal album. But anyway, that's my next 3. And actually, Jack, you mentioned 9 Inch Nails. I was going to put Pretty Hate Machine on here.
Pretty Hate Machine, I know.
Man, what a crazy album that was. Anyway.
I know, it's a great record. I didn't revisit it, so I can't say I don't love it cover to cover still, but it would have been pure nostalgia.
Yeah, that's more nostalgia. I didn't put it on my list either. Yeah,
it would have been.
This is turning out to be one of my favorite episodes ever.
All right, who's up?
Yours, Tom.
We could have did a top 50.
Yeah.
I could have did like top 10 Christmas albums. I mean, there's probably enough of those. Or we could have did like each genre, like country and rock and everything.
We're getting down to the noodly bits.
It's hard to just say these are my 10 favorite. Oh, I see somebody.
Oh man, live.
Again, I love the live albums. It's kind of a cheat with your rules, Jack.
Yeah, it's a cheat.
I like 1985. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Pack Up the Plantation tour live. It's 1985, so it's got a lot of the older stuff that you didn't mention in the last go around, Jack. So you want to be a rock and roll star, Needles and Pens, The Waiting, Breakdown, Refugee, I Need to Know,
Dragging My Heart Around,
American Girl.
It's all good
Don't
shit.
Bring Me Down. You got Lucky.
Just curious, does everybody know who he did Stop Dragging My Heart Around with?
Yeah.
Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks.
Yep. Yep.
They were great together. Their voices just like meshed.
That song is fucking epic. Love that song.
Tom, I love your collection.
That's got to be, it's a great collection you got there, Tom. It's awesome.
This one again. This is 1978.
Oh,
Aerosmith
This
Live.
is Aerosmith. And
Yeah.
this is the Aerosmith I like. I mean,
Toys in the
they've got
Attic.
so many songs. They've been around for
Kings
so
and
long.
Queens? Is Kings and Queens
This
on?
one, what's that?
Kings and Queens.
Probably.
Not on this one. This has Back in the Saddle, Sweet Emotion, Come
That's
Together, Walk This
Sweet
Way,
Emotion, fucking amazing.
Dream On,
Dream
Mama
On.
Kin.
Is there a better song? Oh, and GNR does Mama Kin.
Yeah, that
That's
was
one of
on
those-
that
right.
album.
Yeah, that's
That-
the Aerosmith one.
Jack was
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a better song than Dream On? I mean, seriously. I mean, that
Pretty-
song.
Oh,
there.
I never. Yeah. There's better songs than
I mean,
Dream
but
On.
it's. I know there are, but it's such a
I
good
mean,
song,
literally, I
man.
don't think.
I don't know.
I mean,
Actually,
Sweet Emotion is like right there with that.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a great live record.
Is
What's
Pink
it?
on there?
Who?
Pink?
Pink?
No,
good song.
Pink's-
I know the
no,
song you're
Pink's-
It's a good
Not on
song.
this one.
It's a
Yeah.
great song, but that was way later.
Damn.
Oh, Train
Well,
Kept
I'm
a
way
Rolling.
later.
Train
Right,
Kept a
yeah.
Rolling is awesome. That's a great cover. I think it's a cover.
Okay.
You know what? Only because I didn't know that album had so many great
Oh,
songs.
look at this.
Oh, jeez. And the Delaware Destroyers.
George
This
Thorogood.
is
is
1985.
fantastic.
I've got this.
What album is that?
This is
Self-titled?
Maverick.
Maverick.
What's on
George
there?
Thorogood.
What's on there?
Bad
This
to the
says
Bone.
Gear Jammer. I Drink Alone. Now,
Yeah.
this is not best hit. This is like one
This is an
album.
album.
Is one
Oh.
whiskey, one scotch, and one beer on there?
No.
That's my
No.
favorite song. it has.
Willie and the
That's a
Hand
great-
Jive.
That's a
Bad to
great
the
song.
Bone's pretty fucking good, Mike.
What a Price.
Bad to
I don't know if Bad to the
Memphis
Bone
Marie is
is
on
Bad
here.
to the Bone even on there?
I think that predates that
No,
album.
not this one. This
No,
has
okay.
Gear Jammer and I Drink Alone.
Okay.
Probably
I
the
Drink
two
Alone. Whenever
top
I-
ones on this one.
Does anybody remember a movie? I'm just gonna brief tangent. Does anybody remember a movie, Eddie and the Cruisers?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Amazing soundtrack. And I always thought of George Thorogood with that one. Just it had that fucking
That,
country
yeah.
meets rock meets something else kind of vibe to it.
yeah.
Please check out the Friends of Zeus podcast soundtracks episode. Number blah 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 blah.
All right. Des, I'll hand
Me?
it over
Des,
to you.
you're up.
Okay, so I'm actually only gonna do two because the way that they're gonna be grouped. But so my next one is gonna be the Eminem show.
Nice.
Right?
Now I struggled between this one and the Marshall Mathers LP, but this one is a cover to cover bop.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
That's
And,
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to ask Craig. I was like, "What do you think is better?" And he's like, "Is that a question?" I was like, "You're right." You're right, you're
What's
right.
that song he did? Like me, like something like. Is that on here?
That Without Me's on here. Now this
Yes!
looks like a job for me now, everybody.
Man, whatever. That is a fantastic, fun song.
It
He's
is a fun
another
song.
one that I came on to later in his game and fucking just like soaked it in like a sponge, like just really got into him. But much way later after, probably around the 8 Mile.
But you can
Hey,
hear
Miles,
the
good
Dre production in this. It's definitely
Yeah,
that sound. He definitely has that sound.
Yeah, he
Mhm.
crushes, man. Did anybody see the recently there's like on all the reels or TikToks or whatever, there's this Ed Sheeran, you can like him or not, but Ed Sheeran's pretty talented. And he starts singing Lose Yourself, and then fucking Eminem pops up out of the middle of the stage and fucking finishes the song. It was ridiculous.
That's
Look
cool.
that up.
My next one, which I don't have an image for because I didn't say it right, but which really breaks my heart because I love Lil Wayne. Okay, you cannot tell me shit about Lil Wayne.
You love Lil Wayne. This has been
Love Lil
covered.
Wayne.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love Lil
Yeah.
Wayne. So my favorite Lil Wayne album has got to be the Carter 3. Now, he has lots of Carter versions of his album, the Carter 1, the Carter 2, all the way up to Carter 5. Yes, but because I remember when the Carter 3 was released. Like I don't remember any, like the day that it came out, I remember that when it was released because it was like such like an excitement because it like
That's
there was so many
cool.
jams on there, you know? And yeah, it's apparent the Carter 3 was actually one of the fastest selling albums like of all time. That's good.
I don't know much about Lil Wayne's music, but I love watching him be
Young
interviewed.
Money.
Yes.
He is
Yes.
he is an amazing interview, man. It's a
Yeah.
A
great.
million here, a million there. Sicilian bitch with long hair and coconut derriere.
Nice, Desiree.
So who's next? Is that Jack now?
I think it's back to me, and I have
Is that
2
three?
left. Is that
Yeah,
okay? Yeah, I guess I saved the punk rock genre for last. So these are 2 punk albums from my two of my favorite all-time bands, period. One of them, now this was like one of my favorite bands since I was very young, like I was a kid, into metal, but this was like the heavier, like shorter songs, shorter albums, and the band was called the Misfits, of course. And what happened was a lot of bootleg versions of like their songs would come out, and then they would put out singles on their own record label. And so and they all had these cool covers. So you would buy like a single and it would have 2 songs on it, or like an EP that would have some. And then, like in the 90s, they released the original 1978, the original album that they went into the studio and recorded in 1978. Now, most of those songs we'd heard already as singles, but finally they put together the original mix, and the album's called Static Age. And again, the band is the Misfits. So it's recorded in 78. It doesn't come out as a complete album um until almost 20 years later. So
wow.
unless you
Wow.
were a fan, we knew most of the songs by then, but there were a few that we were like, holy shit, I don't know if I ever heard that, or
That's awesome.
I've heard of that song, but I never actually got to hear, because this is before the internet. So Static Age.
Okay,
And then
put that on.
this one is purely like, is this band has albums that are more critically acclaimed. The band is called the Ramones. Now, they have albums that get more love than this one. In fact, I heard a critic blast this album, and I was like, that's sacrilege to me, because this album came out when I was 18 years old.
Brain
I still
drain.
love it, cover to cover. The album's called Brain Drain.
Yes.
There's not a bad song on it. It's pretty well produced. It's, I think, the last album with DD on it, because that was before he died, or before he
Yeah.
quit and then died. It's just a lot of fun. It's got a cover of Palisades Park on it. It's got Pet Cemetery on it, which is the song they wrote for the movie. Zero Zero UFO.
Merry Christmas. I don't want to fight tonight.
Is Beat on
Yes,
the
Merry
Brat?
Christmas. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, if you want to hear, and
Is
it's
Beat on
not.
the Brat? Is Beat on the Brat on that
No,
one?
that's earlier.
No, that's on their first album, I think. That's like their
Great
original
song.
album. Yeah. No,
Jack, that
they're
is a great album, man. I had
It
that
really
on cassette,
is.
and I ran it till it went off the reels, man.
Yeah, and I guess it's because I stayed a real fan of the Ramones, and I've been listening to them a lot in the last couple of years, because I've really just kind of felt I've been into punk, like, probably because I'm learning how to play the guitar, and it's more fun to learn those songs because I can play them. And that album just holds up for me, and I remember loving it. And it's not just nostalgia, because I still love the album and I love the band and I listen to it a lot. So I got to go with Brain Drain. That's my last one.
It holds
nice
up.
one.
And one thing, just for our viewer out there, if you want to see,
Viewer.
if you're into I don't know, like music history, the video for Pet Cemetery has pretty much everyone in the New York, Jersey punk scene, club scene from like the 70s and 80s in it. It's got so many cameos.
Really?
Have you ever seen it? Yeah, look up the video for Pet Cemetery.
I definitely saw it, because I'm a big horror movie
It's like
Stephen King and Ramones fan.
It's a one camera shot of this gravesite, and there's people just coming in and out of frame. like constantly, but it's like all these like punk stars, and
Oh, that's great.
they just got all their friends to be in it, and
Oh, that's really cool.
it's a cool video.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in ages. That's why I guess I didn't remember that, or didn't know, or I don't know. That's so funny because I remember them in a graveyard. Aren't they in a
Yeah,
graveyard?
they're in a graveyard, yeah, and there's all
Yeah,
these people
okay.
coming in and out, and everyone on there is like, you know, a
I gotta
person.
check it out.
Yeah.
I'll check
So
it out as
guys-
soon as we're done.
We're going late because I also think
That's
we
cool.
should do an honorable mentions, but I'll do my last two.
Yeah, just do your
I got
last
two more. Yeah.
Just do your
My
last
last
two.
two are, and this is my eclectic. I just fucking love this album.
I got a
There's a
big
guy
list.
named, there's a guy from a band called the Verve Pipe named Brian Vander Ark. And he had an album called 1229 Sheffield. And if you don't know who the Verve Pipe is, they did that song, The Freshman. For the life of me, I cannot remember.
Yeah, we know it.
You know, but it's a 1229 Sheffield is this album by Brian Vander Ark. He was the lead singer of the Verve Pipe. You either know them or you don't, but fucking
No,
they did
I
the
know
one
the
song that
Verve
was
Pipe.
great. And it's just one of those albums that popped out of the middle of everything, and every song on it is just raging. It's just
well,
great.
the guy, I remember the song Zeus, and the guy's got a powerful voice. I know
Yeah.
that.
Great voice. And this is his own solo album. My cool story about him is I was talking about Butch Walker with Mike earlier, and I went to this place out here called Jam and Java. It's like one of those places where I saw Tom Morello there, like talk to Tom Morello. Like
It's a small
one of those
place.
places- yeah, it's a small place,
Wow.
but it's raging fucking bands. So I go there and I'm like, I go to the back door and I'm like, so
Pick.
okay, so Brian Vander Ark. So I'm at Jam and Java, and I go up and I'm like, "Can I get Mr. Vander Ark's signature on my CD?" Which is the album that I'm talking about. And some guy comes to the door, and he's like, "Whatever." And I'm like, "You're kind of a dick." Like he came across as dickish. Anyway, Brian Vander Ark was the opener. Like he was a little further along, and I'm like, "Thank you, Mr. Vander Ark. You're great." The Verve Pipe is like this, or The Freshman is like this song that is like so huge for me. And he signs it and all that. And I go out and watch Brian Vander Ark play. He does the old punk kind of adage of you bring somebody up and let them play two chords and they're a fucking pro kind of thing. And the next guy that comes up is that fucking weasel that opened the door and told Brian Vander Ark to come see me, is Butch Walker. And if you don't know Butch Walker, the guy is like amazing. It took that experience for me to realize how good he was. And then I'd like bring up Butch Walker to other people, and they're like, "How did you not know about Butch Walker?" Like you anything by Butch Walker, you got to give him a chance. He's fucking amazing. But that was that one. And Jack, you're gonna get your redemption here because my last album is definitely Counting Crows, August.
And everything. Yeah, I knew
Such
you would.
a fucking
I knew you would.
amazing album. How can you not? The Round Here, fucking Mr. Jones, everything on that album. You can listen to the whole album all the way through, but just for Round Here alone. Can I get one more?
Yeah.
Just for Round Here
Well-
and Mr. Jones.
Well,
Raining in
look,
Baltimore.
Further.
yeah, I got to tell you, when that album came out, everybody I knew who was a big music fan, most people, not my metalhead friends, but a lot of my
Even you and
college
I,
buddies,
that wasn't our jam.
everybody. No, it wasn't our jam, but most people who had like a real like eclectic taste in music had to give props to that band and that album. I don't know if it was a concept album. It certainly felt like one when I listened to it, because it was one of those albums that you had to listen to cover to cover. I mean,
Yeah.
it really did. When you put it on, you just found yourself listening to the whole thing no matter what.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was spiritual. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to
Omaha.
be, but like
Yeah.
you just start listening to it and you the songs melded with each other, but they weren't like it wasn't like We Are the Champions and We Will Rock You, where like
no. I think it was just. I think a lot of it was his voice. I think it was like the poetry of the lyrics that he wrote. I think it was. I think it was the music scene at the time because that whole alternative thing had gotten off the ground with grunge. So a lot of these bands were getting major radio play that didn't, get it before that. It's a great album, Zeus. I mean, I can't argue with it.
They weren't
it's a good
of
record.
the time. It wasn't of the time. It wasn't like Tori Amos. It wasn't fucking Core.
There was a lot of crossover with like Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah,
I don't
like
know.
a lot of crossover.
I think
the
your
Wallflowers
reference diminishes Counting Crows. I think Counting
No,
Crows.
hey man, I have the album. Like, look, I loved that album when it came out. I was the girl that I was dating at the time. They were performing on like Letterman or SNL or whatever. She was like, "This is like my favorite band," and like I listened to them. Like, holy crap! And
like
something
about that. Like Round Here is maybe
it's crazy.
Perfect songs.
Yeah,
like,
it's definitely
we stay up very, very, very,
very late. That's
How about there's a line in it about like walking along the ocean, like it's a tight wire. Like the fucking that song is a fucking masterpiece. I listen to it constantly. For 30 years, I've listened to
well, then it should be on your favorite album. That's the issue. I remember that time in my life that album came out. I listened to the shit out of it, and then a few years later, I didn't listen to it anymore. That's why it didn't make the cut for me.
If Round Here comes on the radio, you don't turn it off.
No, well, I mean, Mr. Jones.
Album.
Mr. Jones, I do turn off when it comes on the radio because I heard it so many times. But no, it's a great record, Zeus. I can't argue with that. I mean, why would I? I loved it too.
You guys can only hear me say it, but like Jack and I used to
every night
we
sang it to each other,
drinking and massaging each other.
And Counting Crows.
Yeah, making muffins. Like
most of my Pearl Jam knowledge is aligned with Jack's Pearl Jam knowledge. Like we went at least through Vitology before we started to part ways and all that, but at least through Vitology. So that's like 3-4 albums. Like we listen to music and we try to write songs. There was this. Jack and I, like, if it's never come across in the show, Jack and I were like best of friends for a really long time.
Zeus, you're still one of my best friends. Stop that talk. You're making me all weepy eyed.
But like we were joined at the hip for like 4 or 5 years minimum, just listening to music,
drinking,
playing Sega, fucking
drinking.
Hockey. And drinking our asses off, and fighting his ex-wife.
Yes, there was a lot of fighting with her. All right, who's next?
Me, Mike. Okay, so I got 2 more, and I was doing mine in reverse order. So these last 2, this is Afghan Wigs album called Black Love, came out after Gentleman. And Gentleman, for a lot of people, Afghan Wigs is like that. Gentleman's like their high point, but for me, it's Black Love. Came out in 1996.
Album title would not go by very well these days, I think.
So so it's definitely a theme album. There are musical elements and sounds that go and refrains that go through multiple songs. Like there's lyrics that are repeated in different songs throughout the album.
I love when they do that.
Very unusual. But at the time, I mean, it's a very dark, very heavy, kind of violent album in a lot of ways. The ending song, Faded, is I think if not my favorite song of all time, definitely in the top 3. It's just a beautiful song. And then number 1 on my personal list, let me bring up my thing here, is the Pixies,
I knew it.
Doolittle.
I
And
knew
this
it.
album, I could do an entire episode on this album. It came out April of 1989. It influenced everything that happened in the 90s with Nirvana. I mean, everyone. This is like the Velvet Underground and Nico for the 90s. Like, so many bands credit this album and Surfer Rosa before it as, like, a seminal recording that they copied. The loud, quiet, loud verse, chorus, verse structure.
It's
That everyone.
interesting you mentioned them because I can't name a Pixies song, but
Yeah,
through
you
my
can.
musical listening, I've always heard the Pixies.
Where is my mind? Wave of mutilation, gouge away, debaser,
Here comes your man.
Yeah, here comes your man.
This monkey's gone to heaven.
Monkey's gone to
I
heaven.
don't know any of those songs. I
Yeah,
just
you
know
do.
that like
So
Nirvana mentioned the Pixies, Pearl Jam mentioned the Pixies, Soundgarden mentioned the Pixies, Stone Temple Pilots.
Well, no,
they're amazing.
Zeus, listen to that album he's talking about. I mean,
Yeah,
it's got
look
it's
up
got good
Doolittle. Look up Doolittle. When I hear, and this is my own little story. So April of 1989, I was a junior in high school. My sister was going to college at Rochester Institute of Technology up in New York. I was living in Baltimore. I took, for a weekend, I jumped in my hoopty car and drove up to Rochester, spent some time with my sister. And this album came out the week that I was there. And we both liked the Pixies. We both had heard Surfer Rosa. And we were anticipating this coming out. And this is back when albums used to come out on Tuesday. Now they come out on Friday. And we were poor because we were young. And so we went to the record store and bought the cassette and then bought a blank cassette and then dubbed it. And we split the price. So it was like, $13 for the album and a blank cassette.
Nice.
And because she's my older sister, she kept the original album and I got the cassette dub. And on the B side of the cassette was Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds' Tender Prey, which is also should be on this list. But anyway, so I listened to that all the way back to Baltimore. When I got back to Baltimore, my friends were having a party at some girl's house, and there was like 50 people there. I walked in the door and I was like Moses coming down from the mountaintops. I was like, I have heard this album called Doolittle by the Pixies, and all of you must listen to it right now. Like because I just been listening to it for 8 hours. Like I drove straight from her house to Baltimore. Like I'd been listening to it on repeat, and it's only like a 33-minute album. Yeah. So I heard it like 50 million times. Anyway, Pixies Doolittle. If you haven't heard it, do yourself a favor. Now, real quick, because I got to fit these in. Honorable mention, I'm not going to talk about them. Heaven or Las Vegas by Cocteau Twins. Joshua Tree by U2. Disintegration by The Cure. Yankee Hotel Foxtrot by Wilco. Flood by They Might Be Giants.
Yeah, Disintegration by The Cure. I stopped writing down my honorable mentions because I knew we were going to go over. Yeah. So I said, screw it.
Honorable mentions
200 honorable mentions.
That was it. That's your 10. It's almost midnight, for God's sake. All right,
Disintegration.
Last two.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, it wasn't Maiden. I could never get into Maiden, Jack. I'm sorry. I tried. I literally tried to listen to Maiden. I could not do it. But Priest is the one word band for me.
Dude,
Priest. I got you.
This is Priest live. This is 1987.
Diamonds and Rust, man. Diamonds and Rust.
Tell you some of these heading out to the highway, breaking the law, love bites, heads are gonna roll. Turbo Lover.
Oh, that's after the
Turbo. I love Living After Midnight.
After
you got another thing coming. Probably Living After Midnight and Parental Guidance are my two favorites.
How we didn't know that he was fucking gay with Turbo Lover, I don't know. The video alone was...
Everybody should have known by looking at him in today's hindsight. Dresses in like the motorcycle, kind of like a
He's got an amazing voice,
motorcycle
man.
gear.
All that was missing was a ball gag. Like
It's okay. It's like like another honorable mention would have been like Night at the Opera with Queen. I mean,
Oh,
it was
yeah,
normal.
man.
Here's one. Now
No.
this one,
Hank Williams.
this is an old one. And this is
wow.
my dad's album. So this is kind of
Nice.
nostalgic for me. This is Hank Williams' Rare Takes. But my dad would listen to, he loved Hank Williams, and he would like play this like on 10. We'd hear it like through the whole house coming out from the basement. He'd get down.
That's awesome.
Just in his world playing. And I love him, Hank Williams too.
And that is the album with There's a Tear in My Beer, right?
No, that's Hank Williams Jr.
Ah, shit.
Different
It's
guy.
the original.
All
This
right.
is Lovesick Blues, Honky Tonkin', Pan American, Honky Tonk Blues, Mind Your Own Business, Crazy Heart, I Saw the Light. So
Jack, Tom pulled out
That's-
Hank Williams as his
Wow.
This
Nice.
is our longest episode ever.
but it's great.
I think it's an extended, like, double
Extended.
album.
Yeah, it's a double album.
We're gonna have to
Yeah.
double
Double
episode.
All right, so Desiree, you're up.
Desiree?
Desiree, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
You're muted.
Hang on.
Oh,
Ah.
cool.
You just kept talking.
Well, I
There's
know,
the
but I was like, oh
Carter.
my gosh. I'm so
There's
glad
the
that
Carter
Tom,
3.
The Carter
Yeah.
3. See, I got it. The Carter 3. I'm glad that Tom like ended with the country album because my next two are country albums.
Oh.
Right.
we already did Taylor
Um,
Swift.
A little bit
Taylor Swift is not country. She's pop.
Yeah.
She's country.
She's pop. She's definitely
She's-
pop.
She started country.
Anyway, so Rascal Flatts
Mhm.
is actually one of my favorite country bands. Love them. But this is my favorite album out of all of them. It was really hard for me to choose because like I love
Is
all
that the
their
Life
songs.
is a Highway one?
Yes, Life is a Highway is on this album.
Good.
Rascal
Is that
Flatts.
Life is a Highway the Tom Cochran?
Yes.
Is it a
Mhm.
remake?
Mhm.
What's the name of this album?
That one?
Me and My Gang.
Me.
Life
And
is a
Life-
Highway is a
And
fucking solid
Life is a
song.
Highway is the last one. The last
That
song.
is a great song. I'm talking about the Tom Cochran version.
Oh, well, I'm talking about the Rascal Flatts
She's
version.
talking
It's
about
my
her
turn.
album.
No, I'm sure it's great.
Also, if you want to hear some other songs, Mike's and writing it down. What Hurts the Most is on here. I mean, I like most of them, but whatever. And then there's a really good song called Ellsworth, which is not a radio release, but I love that song. So listen to
Okay,
this if you can
cool.
listen. My next one this is a new album, but I love it. It's Florida Georgia Line.
Ah.
Have
I've
you guys heard of
them.
Florida Georgia Line? Okay, Florida Georgia Line, like, is such a good band. They've only had like 3 albums out, but I don't know. You can't tell me shit about Florida Georgia Line because they're great.
Wait,
the
what are they? You're saying it really fast. What are
Florida Georgia Line.
they? Line. I
Florida
got
Georgia
it.
Line.
Okay.
See?
Like
I'm
the,
familiar
okay.
with them. They're good. They're good.
North
Um,
of Jacksonville. Yeah.
Here's to the Good Times is the name of this album. Now, if this is their first album, there's a lot of good songs on here. I think it's like a cover to cover type deal for me. But
Cool.
the funniest memory of Craig that I have, one of them, probably not the funniest, but one of the funniest memories I have of Craig is when we went to Kansas City. This is probably like within the first year of us dating. So we went to Kansas City for one of their concerts, and we get there. So we get into Overland Park. We were running late. We get into Overland Park, which is like a suburb of Kansas City. We get in OP, and we're like, okay, we got to stop at the gas station. OP, we got to get stop at the gas station because we got to like get some mixers.
OP just
Drinks
sounded
and-
like something you had to say OP about.
OP. Anyway, so we had to start drinking in Overland Park because we were late. Okay. So he starts like, doing like we get everything ready. He's like in the car trying to pull out. He pulls out of the Quick Trip the wrong way, like, and kind of like goes into the wrong turn. Like there was like an embankment with like a turnaround situation, but it was the total wrong way. And he stops in the middle of it. He's not even paying attention to what he's doing. Okay. He stops right in the middle of it. He's trying to like pour vodka in his drink to like make a drink.
While driving.
Everyone's honking. Like he is like stopped in the middle of the wrong way. And everyone's honking at him,
Hold
like
on.
probably cussing him
Hold
out.
on.
And he's just like, I really don't even know why everyone's so mad. I'm literally just trying to make a vodka.
And that's when you knew. That's
Wait
when
a
you knew.
second.
That's a good man.
Wait a second, I'm driving.
No, this was like first drink. Like this was not a drunk situation.
No, that's a good man.
So I was like, well, all right.
He is a catch. We love him. He can come on the show anytime. He's a fucking-
Absolutely.
No, that's when Des knew he was a keeper.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
So okay, here's what I want to do, Jack. If we can, we'll do a real rapid fire, like 2 or 3 of our honorable mentions, because we got.
Wait, why do we have to? We all
Because
did
we
10.
do.
We already did a bunch of albums.
Yeah, we just covered 50 albums. I think it's
More
time
than
to
that,
wrap
probably
things
100.
up.
2 hours and
But
2
Little
minutes.
Giant and East Side Boys is
deserves a
on my honor
mention.
mentions. Thanks, bye.
All right, guys.
Bon Jovi out.
No, we have been on for a while. I think it's time we wrap things up. What do y'all say?
Sounds great.
So.
Great episode.
Go Orioles.